stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Prior to tonight's meeting, we had an executive session at 6 o'clock, which was held to discuss personal matters and student matters as well. Mr. Lego, roll call, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Mrs. Issing.
Here.
Mr. Kachasik.
Here.
Dr. Koshko.
Here.
Mr. Leonard.
Here.
Mr. Newell is absent. Mr. Namath.
Here.
Mr. Petrucci. Here. Mr. Stovar.
Here.
Dr. Trey.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Lego.
You're welcome.
Communications, Dr. Butler.
No communication. Correct?
Correct.
No communication.
All right, thank you. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of September 10th?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Leonard,
Second.
second by Mr. Petrucci.
Question?
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Information, Dr. Butler.
Thank you, Dr. Koshko. Our first bit of information is our student union representative, Eric. How are we doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Good.
Sure.
You're looking dapper as usual.
Thank you. Within the past month, Penn Trafford High School has been very busy. The tribute football game went extremely well last month, and veteran soldiers and active duty soldiers were commemorated. Over $600 was raised for the Wounded Warrior Foundation. Freshman elections have taken place, resulting in these new additions: President Sean Tobias, Vice President Jonathan Belluti, Treasurer Jake Beretta, and Secretary Allison McCullough. The homecoming court has been determined, and the homecoming king and queen election will take place this week. Preparation for the parade on Friday and dance on Saturday has been coming together piece by piece within the past couple months. The student union is excited for all their hard work to come together this weekend. On another note, last week the upperclassmen had an assembly provided by the Demi Kusha Awareness Organization on teenage dating violence. Dr. Gary Kusha gave a very moving speech on teenage dating violence when reflecting on his daughter's murder several years ago. The Community Action Program has been very involved this past month as well. In October, 32 CAP students recently participated in You've Got a Friend Day at Twin Lakes Park. This is an event for special needs students throughout Westmoreland County. High school students from 7 area schools are paired up with a special buddy, and they spend the day in a carnival-type atmosphere. This is sponsored by the Westmoreland Park and Recreation Center. CAP also sponsored Operation Fresh Express, an event in conjunction with Westmoreland Food Bank and Jeanette Salvation Army. An outdoor market was set up in the city of Jeanette parking lot, and fresh food items were distributed to hundreds of food bank recipients. In addition to the regular month projects, CAP will also be attending Clillian Heights School, assisting with Penn Township Business Association's costume parade, fall festivals at Harrison Park Elementary, and Penn Pals Daycare, conducting a CPR class, and working a clothing drive at the Methodist Church. Pictures will be on the CAP website and CAP bulletin. Thank you.
Any questions for Eric? Very good. Thank you very much. And now for our most favorite time of the board meeting, our Students of the Month. Mr. DiNapoli, do you want to start?
All right, sure. It is my privilege to introduce the Level Green Student of the Month, Nick Schmidt, to you this evening. Nick Schmidt has been a student in our life skills class for the past 2 years. He has made tremendous gains academically.
Just a minute. We have to all
Nick.
see him.
Nick, come on up.
Stay right there. That's a perfect spot.
Because of his hard work and willingness to give 100% towards his schoolwork every day, Nick has progressed to the point of spending his entire day included in a first grade classroom. At school, we are all judged by how many questions we answer right. While Nick's report card is impressive, Nick is a straight-A student in subjects of equal, if not greater, importance. Nick follows school rules, gets along with his classmates and teachers, and he genuinely cares about the feelings of others. In short, Nick is the kind of person who puts a smile on your face each and every day, and we are glad to have him at Level Green Elementary.
And we'll have a certificate for you.
After, you'll take pictures.
Good job, man.
Our next student of the month is from Trafford Middle School.
It's my pleasure to introduce to you Dylan Cleveland. This was a unanimous vote by the staff, so I'm very pleased and a well-deserved honor to be Dylan. Dylan is an 8th grade student at Trafford Middle School. His parents are Mike and Kelly Cleveland. Dylan's sister Brooke attends 4th grade at Sunrise Elementary School. Dylan enjoys going to school every day. He's made numerous friends and has had an excellent experience while attending Trafford Middle School. That's from his parents. Dylan is a kind and considerate student and always works hard in all of his classes. Dylan's interests include playing golf and basketball. Dylan also enjoys spending time with his family, going to sporting events, and keeping up to date with our local sports teams. Dylan is a huge Pittsburgh sports fan. After graduating from Penn Trafford, Dylan would like to attend the University of Pittsburgh and study journalism. One of Dylan's goals is to be a sports broadcaster on either the local or national platform. Mike Lang of the Pittsburgh Penguins radio broadcasting team has inspired Dylan to become a broadcaster. Some of Dylan's most memorable school moments include portraying Mike Lang in the 3rd grade Wax Museum. With his teacher's help, they contacted Mr. Lang to gather information for this project. After completing the project, it was sent to Mike Lang. He then took the time to call Dylan's house and talk to Dylan about the project, school, and the Penguins playoff race. Dylan and Mike Lang still keep in touch. In 5th grade, Dylan's DARE essay was chosen as winner from his classroom at the Sunrise Elementary School. Dylan was elected vice president of our Trafford Middle School Student Council for the 2012-2013 school year. Presently, Dylan is part of the TMS morning announcement team. One of Dylan's most memorable accomplishments outside of school includes being selected to be a Pittsburgh Penguin junior reporter. Dylan met and interviewed Mike Lang and Billy Garen, sorry. The interviews were shown on the Jumbotron in the Civic Arena. In talking with Mike Lang, Dylan let it be known that he had a catchphrase himself that Mike could use on the radio. So if you ever hear the phrase, "make me a milkshake Malkin," after a Malkin goal on the radio, that came from Dylan. Mike Lang used that phrase shortly after, and the Penguins went on to win the Stanley Cup. Mr. and Mrs. Cleveland are extremely proud of Dylan and his accomplishments. They feel that one of Dylan's best qualities is that he is a genuine young man. Watching my students walk in the door as 6th graders and walking out at the end of 8th grade is one of the wonderful privileges of being a middle school principal. The growth that they make and the transformation that they go through is just amazing. And Dylan has definitely grown into a fine young man. He is amazing, and we really look forward to all of your future achievements. Thank you.
Congratulations. I'm very proud of you. I'm glad you're part of the district. Thank you.
If I can add something. I've known Dylan all his life, Kelly all her life, Marty and Dawn are lifetime friends. Mike since, 5th grade, moved next door to me. This young man has been blessed, best parents, best grandparents, and he's been an ideal kid ever since, he was born. Just a great family and a great kid, and It all shows. Congratulations, Dylan.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Ingles, our last student of the month.
I have Nick Fistus. Nick, please stand. Nick is a senior at Penn Trafford High School. He's here, his parents, David and Dina Fistus, and I think he has some extended family here as well. I think his sister, Catherine, and Albert, brother, is here as well. Nick is a wonderful student, and this was an easy choice. He's self-motivated, goal-oriented, very mature for his age. What stood out in my mind is I know that Nick went to, as a junior, he spent his entire junior year over in Germany as an AFS student in our exchange program. He studied at Johann Herzog Gymnasium School. Did I say that right?
Yes.
That's where he studied. And this was, to go overseas like that at that age, I think is remarkable for anybody. I'd be scared myself, but let alone a 17-year-old kid. And exposure to the culture and the education system in a European country it's phenomenal. And he went there without any kind of German background. He didn't know the language. He studied Latin here at Penn Trafford, so I'm not sure how he was able to do what he did in his schooling there. Pardon me? Well, and he told me he was at apparently they have 3 levels of education over there, and he was at the highest level of that schooling that he experienced over there. And one of the unique things that he told me about was the assessments are all done in writing. There's no such thing as a multiple choice or true false test. So every assessment that he did, it was just you start writing. You write and you write. So he did very well over there, and it was a great experience for him. And the benefit of that for us, it's a twofold thing, and great for him. And he comes back and shares all those experiences with his teachers and his classmates. So we get the perspective of what happens outside of the small bubble of Penn Trafford. So we're fortunate in that way as well. Not only did he go to Germany, but in 2008 you were what, 14?
Yeah.
So that was a freshman, right?
Yeah.
So as a freshman, then he went to Poland. Okay, he was involved in a Teachers with American Educators of Poland, where he spent a month there with retired United States teachers, where he taught Polish students English. So that had to be a neat challenge for him. His mom told me he realized he didn't want to be a teacher after that experience.
True story on that.
So, and then even further back in 2006, he went to Canada with the People to People program as a student ambassador to Canada. So that was something. He did some nice tourism and throughout the glaciers and all Saskatchewan, everywhere else that he went. So that, I'm sure that he learned a lot.
Digging around for fossils was fun.
Dug for fossils, dinosaur fossils. Nick is also involved in our school newspaper. He's the editor of the opinion section. I talked to his teacher a little bit, and tells me that Nick has certainly taken on the leadership role, and he has very, very high expectations of his staff, and he gets after them quite a bit. And that's good. As a student leader, to have those expectations of your classmates is wonderful. He's enrolled in 6 AP/college courses. One of them he was unable to take because of some scheduling conflicts. And first couple of days of school, he said, "Hey, can I take this AP class independently on my own?" I said, "Go for it." So now he's off taking U.S. history as an independent study, communicates with the teacher daily, but doesn't sit in the class every day, and that's not easy, believe me. So he's doing well with that. All of his courses he's doing well. He's on the high school swim team, he's on the track team, he's involved with our mock trial, which all of those take a tremendous amount of time and effort. He does all this while still maintaining a 4.0 GPA. He plans on attending college as a double major in international relations and economics, and he's still undecided about his college at this point. So congratulations, Nick. He's a great kid.
If we could have all the winners over here to get a picture for the paper, and if the parents want to go over there and take some pictures with all the people, that would be great. Or if you want to go, you can do that as well.
He'll go right in front.
It is time in the front of you, buddy.
Here you go, Quinn. Take your lens. Shut that down. Right yeah, come on in.
Get your mother.
I think that's all you're going to get.
That they didn't do in your school because you don't want to feel that.
Thank you.
Here we go, Donna. How you doing?
As we get back together, those of you that were coming for Students of the Month, if you feel you need to leave, leave. No one will be insulted. Thank you for coming. Feel free. Okay. Back to the information. Our esteemed Dr. Harris will discuss our PSSA results.
It's kind of anticlimactic because of all the entire work that goes into this for a year-long process. By the end of the year, our principals, our teachers, and our students, we all look like we were hit with a big rock. But there was a really, I want to just take 2 or 3 minutes just to kind of cover it. As you can see, there was a lot of 90s with the elementary school. There's also some hundreds you might actually see. Some of our classrooms were actually doing 100% in both math and reading, so that's outstanding. I was hoping to have a bigger audience, but I appreciate the fact that we have the press, our regular Sally Brown, a gentleman from Edward Jones, and our video club. So at least we have some people in attendance to see this, which is great. But as Trafford Middle, Penn Middle, as you can see, a great deal of 90s. And I have one mistake I kind of noticed on Penn Middle. I have to fix that. I think we're supposed to be 104% are doing fantastic. Our high school, again, continues to make strides with all the work they're doing up there. And you kind of wonder, what does all this mean? Well, the best way to kind of explain what all this means is when you do the county comparison. And if you notice, PT, Penn Trafford School District, is once again #1 among all the schools in Westmoreland County. And again, we're close to the top 20 in the state of Pennsylvania. So we really worked hard at Penn Trafford to ensure that the kids are getting a top-notch education, meeting all the requirements of the state. Penn Trafford in in reading was 91.4, and mathematics 88.6. So we really strived hard, and as you see, we're top in both math and reading for the county. In addition, our school was one of only 2 school districts in the county that made AYP for every school, every different content, every area we could be measured in, we passed. In fact, this is our 7th year that we still have that, where we have never had a school not make AYP. So all the school principals, all the teachers, all the students, all the admin, the school board, the parents, everyone who works hard, we never know. It's kind of like Jenga. You build those blocks, you stack them up. We have so many different components that go into those blocks. Which block that we take away is everything going to fall down? Last year we made a lot of cuts. We looked at our educational programs. We saw what we could take out from that Jenga box that wasn't going to pull everything down. So we're still maintaining good scores, and we're going to look at that once again. But eventually we're going to get to that point where there's probably nothing we can take out in order to keep those blocks up, have a Jenga. So we're hoping that we'd like to thank you for your support. Thanks for all the hard work of the teachers, the administrators, everyone that does, the parents, the students. We appreciate it. It's good to be #1. And hopefully next year I can come back and say Penn Trafford is #1, and we're the, again, AYP in all of our schools. So thank you.
Very good. Any questions from that? And these PSSA results are obviously a result of an incredible amount of work by our staff, teachers, the principals have put an incredible amount of time in. We have a dedicated teaching staff. You know that from our consultants that came in this summer that said they've never really met a staff that's so willing to and dedicated for the students. We have great students and parents that are care about education, so this is a really good place to be right now. I'm also very proud of the fact that Penn Trafford is looking to innovate in education while at the same time maintaining test scores, and that's always a tricky balancing act. But I'm very pleased with where we are. Very pleased with where we are right now. Remember, we have 13 pilot programs going on in the district right now, all dealing with how we can engage students better in instruction. And if I had my way, we'd have 13 or 14 more here in the next 3 or 4 months, just to make sure everybody stays fresh, because there's not enough work to do. So 13 or 14 more pilot programs wouldn't be bad. Right, Mr. Simpson?
Absolutely. Bring the iPads. Sure, I'll take another.
But so it's a good that's a good day for us. One other thing under information, we talked at the last week's meeting about energy education. We had some time to think about it. Do you want us to set up start organizing a trip to the other schools that use that energy education? How would you want to approach this?
You said we've had some contacts with the other districts.
Yep.
What districts have we contacted?
As we look at Jim, all the answers.
I contacted South Butler, Blue Mountain, and Mount Lebanon.
Okay.
South Butler has 3 schools, Blue Mountain 5, and Mount Lebanon 10. I talked to several people in there. Their energy auditors in South Butler, Director of Maintenance in Blue Mountain, Jeff Faust, their energy auditor, Rick Wanamaker, and in Mount Lebanon, their Director of Maintenance, Steve Veneer. They all had some pretty good things to say about it. Everything that the man stated when he was here last week, pretty much they said the same stuff. Jeff from Blue Mountain, however, he cautioned and said that basically some of the things that they do are they're like smoking mirrors because they use forecasted numbers. And he cautioned us to use actual utility bills, not forecasted numbers, because when they started theirs, they were in the middle of a remodeling project where they replaced boilers and lighting. And he says a lot of that cost savings he felt was from that, not exactly from the program that they installed.
But he came on later, right? He wasn't there at the
Yeah, he
beginning.
came on in their 4th year.
So he might not have known about remember he said the program actually can adjust for that?
That's one of the things we asked, and he assured us that there was an adjustment
So
in the
maybe he
program
wasn't
to handle
quite
that.
aware of that.
And they all said it was an uphill battle getting started. Basically, from the school board to the administrators, to teachers, maintenance, custodians, clean down to the students. They held meetings with the teachers at the opening of school, actually went down to the student level to tell them exactly what they were going to do. And basically, it changes habits throughout the township, sets procedures and personal accountability for turning off everything when they leave. For examples of that, they minimize lighting during school operations. So every other light in the hallway, a lot of them told me they shut down. So the school's a little darker than we would normally see. They shut ventilators off when the rooms are done for the day. So when the classes are done, everything gets shut down. All the thermostats are set to 70 degrees during the day, 55 degrees at night. On the weekends, everything's shut off. They even manage the lighting systems when the buildings are being cleaned. So they have programs that set when lighting can be on and off. And the custodians basically follow that schedule as they're cleaning, is basically what happens. Other thing they do is they eliminate study halls in the auditoriums so that they're not burning all those lights. They use all the kitchen appliances are only used when needed. Examples of that is the steamers are running in the kitchen after the food is hot. They shut them down ahead before lunches even started because them steamers will stay hot for an hour and a half. So those steamers are already shut off by the time lunch is being served. They shut down all the computers, printers. They add motion sensors to the room lights. Like in the summertime, they even changed the custodial summer cleaning schedule to 4/10s. So the buildings are completely shut down Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as much as possible. And they all stated that energy education stayed with them after the 4-year contract was over. So they still had monthly visits to help them fine-tune things. But basically, it's a program that just changes the operation of the school and gets everybody looking at, hey, when you're done, shut everything off, is basically what it is.
So your research seems to indicate that almost some very large percentage is all behavioral modification other than maybe adding some motion sensors, timers, and so forth?
Yes. Now, in our case, since we've had that meeting, we've been around in buildings in the off hours, and there's a lot of things we can do in our schools to save energy. I mean, I walk in on second shift, the auditoriums are still lit. Now, they might be cleaning them, but at some point in time, they need to clean them, only turn them on while they're going to clean and shut them back off. But there's a lot of areas that we can improve on, just common sense things. I mean, if you just walk into a building, in any hallway and see, I mean, we have a lot of opportunity.
Jim, I was looking at you as you were staring around the room, and I said, this guy's looking at energy savings right now. He's saying, we can conduct this meeting, turn off all those banks of lights.
Yeah,
back here,
I was
and
just
you can
looking
turn
at
those
that. I
banks
was
of
going
lights
to bring
right
that
back
up,
here,
actually.
too. I saw you.
Yeah,
That's a change of habit.
They all stated it does work, but there's growing pains involved. I mean, we have to get everybody pulling in the same direction.
Well, I would say that the buy-in we need, first of all, every school you interviewed, the person in your position was the central monitor for this, is that correct?
No, a lot of the schools split it up with an electrician or an HVAC guy because they're saying that the amount of audits that they do, it just takes too many hours. So they give it to two. For the most part, everybody had 2 auditors.
But they're in-house employees that were current employees.
Correct.
And we'd have to get buy-in, obviously, from all of our business, or all building managers, which most of them are here tonight. That would seem like that would be an important buy-in because each building has to be managed independently.
The other thing that they do different than well, our program does not enable us to monitor every unit ventilator. And most of these schools have an updated a Windows-based program that will let them shut down all unit ventilators. So they have total control where we have groupings of control.
That's where I'm headed, kind of. I'm trying to get a hand on how much upfront investment or close upfront investment there would be to get it. Like under the new energy conservation code, you're supposed to be able to go into any room, turn off half the lighting. I don't think we have that capability here.
I think what he said, if we recall though, that there doesn't have to be any upfront expense on our part to realize the savings that that they have predicted. During the course of renovations, if we wanted to add some of that stuff, that would be where it is. But he's saying without any outlay other than the software and that person, that half-time person to do the audits, that we don't have to add the sensors right now. As they come online, according to Ross, he said, well, you can adjust that into your figures into the software, but we don't have to do that to realize the savings that he's projected for us.
That's what I gathered from the original discussion too.
What are our energy bills? Brett, do you know?
We spend in total about $1 million a year. I don't have the figures memorized, but it's approximately $1 million a year in energy cost.
And he's talking about percentage savings of, you gave averages around 23%. So even if it's 20%, that's $200,000.
I think it's over that, isn't it? We're over $1 million. That might have just been one. I think it's it's a heavy over $1 million.
Yeah, I thought I saw a number in the original. I didn't bring it with me tonight, unfortunately. I thought we were looking at 1.7 million.
Yeah, I think
with about a 23 to 26% savings, and it looked like it was 200-some thousand just for behavior modification. But then I guess we could take some of that savings and, as we move forward with the renovation, make sure we build into the savings, build into further savings.
Exactly. And Jim and I and Brett talked today about, if as we go through renovation, just the boilers, we have some sort of boiler that's not real efficient. You can't, Jim is explaining to me, something about ramping up. Right now our boilers are either full on or full off. You need boilers that have an in between.
Yeah, we need condensating boilers that are very efficient. Right now our boilers are either 100% off. Now the high school has a little bit different setup, but most of the schools, they're either all on or all off. And and they're pretty inefficient. So going down the road, if we go to renovate, we need to look at those systems so that we can get more efficient. Because you could say there's a lot of cost savings with the boilers by replacing boilers that we have in the district.
All right, to help me on Doc, so Jim, are you leaning? Are you in the middle of the road? Are you leaning one way or the other? Do you think we should be involved with Energy Solutions? Do you think you guys can do what they're doing, or? Well, how am I reading you? That's how I'm gonna.
I think it's worth it. It's definitely worth, in my opinion, it's definitely worth a visit to go see. That's my opinion.
But I think we should see real utility bills before and after, not these forecasted ones like Jeff from Butler was stating. We need to see real bills before and real bills, after, maybe 2 years in, to see what their electric bills. Let's compare them apples to apples without all this forecasting and everything that they have involved.
Well, they could fax you that information, couldn't they? They could.
Well, we'd have to talk to the,
I mean, some way else get things. I think we get that information. You guys, if you want us to visit them, but see if the savings is justified, it would worth us doing that traveling.
Jim, this early on, do you have a match up with the school system that's closest to us in the age of buildings and use of facilities?
You know what? I didn't go into age. I didn't go. I just was asking questions about the system and how they implemented it, what kind of things that they did to save energy. I more or less, my conversations were based on that.
Just my thought was if we got someone close to us in those types of items, that we could probably have a better matchup and get more predictability where we might lie long term.
Their estimation in there energy educations was that 1/3 of the district's current utility consumption is unnecessary or wasted consumption. So let's just throw $1 million on the table, that's $300,000 plus. I definitely think it's worth taking whatever is deemed to be the next step. I would like to explore it further.
Okay, what we'll do is we'll contact Energy Education. They said that they would help, set this up. We can make some contacts with those school districts and maybe get, some of the bills or talk to them, and maybe we can do something here, and try to ask some questions that way. But we'll figure something out and get something to you here in the next 10 days.
And for you fellows, the ones most familiar with the Act 39 process, Fred, are you familiar with that?
Act 39 being the guaranteed savings program by switching out the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm somewhat familiar with it, yes.
So we could look at that in correlation and see if there's any interaction there that could help with our savings as we move forward with the whole analysis for our building projects in conjunction with it. I'm not familiar enough with it. I have a PowerPoint here that I could go over, but it's not the whole enchilada.
I like what Jim said, comparing the bills before and after, just before you decide to go visit a particular school district.
Yep, we'll arrange that.
Because Norwin would be close and similar, but everything's new there, so I don't know if that would be.
I think Mount Lebanon's probably the closest.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm not quite sure what visiting the school district would do rather than seeing the actual numbers.
Yep, we'll set up a meeting and maybe we can get some of them to come here and explain. I think it'd be valuable to talk to people that have gone through it.
I think we really need to compare apples to apples before we go. We need to see
that's a good idea.
true
Maybe
information.
you invite some of the people in charge of the programs in another school district come speak during one of our
yeah, I think meetings. Probably that's why he thought that we would probably have to make the trip. Since we're looking into it, we probably have to go visit them.
The things that I'd be interested in gleaning from the trip or inviting somebody in, first of all, it has to be a really good apple-to-apple comparison, and that would be somebody doing upfront research to make sure you get that apple-to-apple. Whether whoever Dr. Butler would choose would be the one to put their time into that. And then once we have that comparison, I'd like to have 2 districts. But if it's one, little things like I said about are they already set up to shut half their lights off? There's a lot of things that they may have done, though, even though they're as old, may have done some of the things that we can do to realize a better saving. Right. See how much squeeze there is in the orange. But that would be whoever you choose to do that. Check.
Very good. We'll set that up. Mr. President, that's all I have for information.
Thank you, Dr. Butler. At this time, we have recognition of visitors. Following rules in effect, you must state your name, address, and group affiliation. If any, your statement will be limited to 5 minutes in duration. All statements shall be directed to the President. Note that this may address or question a board member individually. I may interrupt your statement if your statement is too lengthy, personally, directive, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. At this time, we have John Emrock. And John, I believe you have your question answered, or do you still have a comment that you'd like to make?
I'm not a resident of the Penn Trafford School District, so I was told I wasn't allowed to speak. Is that accurate?
Mm-hmm. That's accurate.
Okay. Yeah, then it's addressed. Thank you.
Okay. At this time, is there anyone else that would like to make a comment? Okay.
Can I have one more thing under information? I forgot. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Don't forget that the homecoming is this weekend. Matt?
Yes, we have all the alumni in business will be invited to the Warrior Center, 6 o'clock. We have an autumn reception, and there's also a parade that starts roughly the same time, 6 o'clock, and ends at 6:15. And they're requesting all the alumni show up and join the parade. So there's flyers that I'm passing out, and feel free to take one, and please come and march.
Yeah. One more thing Dr. Trey just reminded me of. Last week, our 5th graders spent a week in Deer Valley again, and thank you to everybody that helped with that. Mr. Marasti, I know, is knee-deep into that, as well as some other people. And then once again, it was a great experience. I think a bear was involved this time. Correct. caught a bear or something?
A bear was trapped Thursday evening. It had been a nuisance bear that had been there all week. And the game commission set up on Tuesday evening, set their trap up, and come Thursday evening, Friday morning, we had a bear in a trap.
How big of a bear?
They approximated between 250 pounds.
That'd be worth it just for that.
It was,
kids wouldn't get a chance to see that.
The kids really didn't. They didn't get to see the bear processed, which was our intent and hope that it would be caught during the week. But being that we were leaving on Friday morning, they took the bear, and Don and Myersdale, they were having their fall festival, so they were going to process it there for the people to see and understand the bear management program, as well as how that processing takes place. And it is a very interesting process. It would be something that would behoove the kids to see if they ever have the opportunity. And we're going to look forward to and into having the Game Commission come on a steady basis, and hopefully that occurring.
That'd be a rare find, trapping a bear. You might trap chipmunks and squirrels, but a bear? That's pretty uncommon.
It was neat.
Dr. Trey was pretty excited about it on Saturday.
Yes, I was very excited. Matter of fact, my colleagues were kidding me. They said they indicated that you threw donuts in that trap, and the bear got ahead of me by about 3 minutes.
Krispy Kreme was on a mission.
Well, John Otto, if he'd have been there, he'd have got in first.
So once again, that was another great experience for our kids. It's unusual and unique for Penn Trafford, and congratulate everybody involved. That was a very good job. Sorry I went out of order. Back to you, Mr. President.
May I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report and the high school extracurricular fund report?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Nemick.
Second.
Second by Mr. Leonard.
Question.
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. May I have a motion to approve the list of bills for the month of October?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Zissing.
Second.
Second by Mr. Chasik.
Question.
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Old business, Dr. Butler.
No old business, Mr. President.
New business, athletics and extracurricular, Mrs. Ising.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to employ the following personnel: Lori Carmack, Trace's sponsor at Penn Trafford High School.
Second.
Second by Mr. Leonard.
Question.
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Move to accept the following resignation: Ronald Granatier, Assistant Varsity Girls Softball Coach.
Second.
Second by Mr. Witrusi.
Question.
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries.
That's all, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mrs. Ising. Budget and Finance, Mr. Kachasik.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. Move to authorize the administration to make payments amounting to $16,843.20 for credits earned by professional employees in accordance with the negotiated agreement. The list as presented to the board showing the individual payments due will be filed with the official minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Second by Mr. Nemick.
Question.
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Move to approve a non-binding resolution giving Mr. Logo permission to research bond issue. A copy of this resolution will be filed with the official minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Second by Mr. Leonard.
Question.
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries.
That is all, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Kachasik. Buildings and Grounds and Safety, Mr. Leonard.
Yes, I do have one motion. I'd like to move to authorize the purchase of custodial and maintenance uniforms at a cost of $8,927.17.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Zissing.
Question.
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Leonard. Employee Relations, Negotiations, and Transportation, Mrs. Ising.
Nothing to report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mrs. Ising. Food Service, Mr. Nemick.
Nothing tonight, Mr. President.
Thanks, Mr. Nemick. Personnel and Curriculum, Mr. Petrucci.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve list of additional substitute teaching and support personnel for the month of October 2020.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kachasik.
Question?
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Move to authorize the administration to approve any new parent volunteers in accordance with the past practices and policies. Volunteers will be used only where the teacher and/or principal approves, and all volunteers must have Act 34, 151, 114 clearances on file.
Second.
Second by Mr. Leonard.
Question.
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Move to approve the following student-teacher assignments. IUP, cooperating professional is Deja Barton. Student teacher is Christine Sestina. Area elementary learning support, dates is October 15th to December the 7th. And Seton Hill University cooperating professional is Jody Wiseman. Student teacher is Jessica Heer. Elementary, dates January 21st to March 18th, 2013.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kachasik.
Question.
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Move to approve Gary Smith as technology intern for Jace Crusoe for 240 hours beginning October 15, 2012 at no cost to the district.
Second?
Second by Mrs. Zissig.
Question.
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries.
That's all, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Trucci. Policy, Public Relations, and Legislative. Dr. Trey.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to accept and file the minutes of the Superintendent's Information Committee meeting held on Tuesday, September 4th, 2012.
Second.
Second by Mr. Leonard.
Question.
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Move to approve revised policy number 248, unlawful harassment, as presented to the board. A copy of this policy will be filed with the official minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kachasik.
Question.
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Move to tentatively approve revised policy number 249, bullying and intimidation, as presented to the board.
Second.
Second by Mr. Leonard.
Question.
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Move to tentatively adopt
It's on
policy
the chair.
number...
It's on the chair.
We were all.
So sorry. I apologize. Thank you.
No problem.
We'll move to tentatively adopt policy number 123.1, recognition and utilization of club sports.
Second.
Second by Mr. Nemec.
Question.
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Dr. Trey. Taxes, insurance, census, Mr. Stovall.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to appoint Mr. Lawrence M. Wojek Jr. as per capita of occupational residence tax collector for 2012 and 2013.
Second.
Second by Mr. Leonard.
Question.
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Move to approve the request made by the Borough of Manor to exonerate them from the payment of delinquent taxes on the following properties and for exemption on real estate taxes for the same properties as recorded in the Office of the Recorder of Deeds and in 4 Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania as listed. Tax parcel number 190303000019 Woodland or Woodview Plan of Lots, and tax parcel 190307000041 New Manor Farms Plan of Lots. The subject properties are entitled to be exempt from the real estate taxation because the properties are being used for a public purpose, stormwater detention facilities.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kachasik.
Question.
Question being called for. This will be a roll call vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Stovall. Solicitor's report, Mr. Russell Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. President. We prepared a written report which I've distributed to the board. If any board members have any questions regarding the matters set forth on that report, please don't hesitate to give me a call or to direct a question to me at the next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas. PTA representative, Mr. Sean Rainier.
First, let me state that I'm proud to be back at the Big Kids table. I was crowding in the media last time. And I'd like to congratulate the entire board, the administration, the teachers, and the parents for what we did on those PSSAs. And it's no small feat today. And I think everybody here works at a high level. And I just wanted to reiterate what I wrote that was in the newspapers last week. I think it's pretty impressive. Because I think we're the only district in the county, there weren't too many districts in Allegheny County that made every building AYP. So I know that all the teachers are very proud, and like I said, it's a total community effort. On that same note, I was wondering if the School Board Association was planning any type of public rebuttal to what our Secretary of Education so unfortunately said last week when the scores came out, in which case he basically accused the state of cheating the last 3 years as his reason for the scores going down this year. It bothers me, and especially for the fact that they haven't really indicted anybody or any district, just kind of a wild accusation. Is there anything we can do about this?
There's an interesting act two to that. He came out and said that because he has this group of statisticians that the state hired that told him, well, because of increased test security measures, the test scores have gone down. So one of the newspapers in Pennsylvania called the chairperson of this group, and she said, not so quick. That's not exactly what we said. So he really put words in her mouth. It's a group out of New Hampshire. It's an interesting newspaper article. So he was quick to jump on that, but he was really, that's not what that group told him. Right. They said that may be a reason, but they can't say that that was the reason. And then she mentioned that there are other things that could have lowered those. And one of them is simply the fact that people were so paranoid about doing illegal things that they did not do the things that they could do to help students during the course of the test. And we've all talked about this, that it's a chilling effect on the test the proctors, because they, their livelihoods are at stake. So even though you are allowed to do some things during the test, those things weren't even done because you did not want to even come close to the appearance of impropriety. And this, the chairperson for this group said that may be a factor as well. So the secretaries, and they were an unfortunate remark, really doesn't hold water. And it's unfortunate that at this day and age that we have, as a leader of our system in the state, someone that so blatantly dislikes public schools.
In response to you, Sean, there were some superintendents that did.
Right.
There were.
West Midland superintendent wrote a pretty nice rebuttal.
There was about 2 or 3 I read in the paper that they really attacked him.
And going back to what Dr. Butler said, that makes the guy's comments all the worse, being that they just basically blurted this out without even discussing it with the committee. When they asked this committee that was together, well, what about funding? Did that affect anything? The committee said, well, we didn't even look into that. So, as Dr. Butler said, it's unfortunate that the guy that's the head of our state education is just going to come out and say this.
Sean,
it's absolutely no respect.
I can say this, heading to the PSBA conference next week, and that issue is not dead. It's being approached from a variety of different avenues, through a variety of different sources, some through legislators and some through key people, because none of us are real happy. And I do admire your stance in the media in which you attacked. We're kind of being a little more cautious at this stage until we find out other things have transpired.
Any way that we can at least show some teeth in this, I think would be helpful. But let me know if you guys come up with anything.
Well, this district, could we make the statement that absolutely nothing changed procedurally whatsoever in how this is conducted in this district over the last several years? There's been no change here, right?
Yes. The simple answer is yes. I'm always a little, on a personal, my personality is I always really, if you're going to do a resolution and for against something or to protest something, I really want to think about it quite a bit.
Absolutely.
So I really want to think about it.
That was not my suggestion of doing a resolution. It was a question to be followed by a comment. This could even be read to say that since this district is #1 in the county, we're still cheating.
Sure.
And
that's the way I see it.
That's what would bother me. I mean, if there's insinuation there's cheating going on, and this district is in the top 20,
15 in the state,
15 out of 500. So we're the 15th best cheater in the state. Could be somewhere in there.
There you have it.
And that really, and I don't know how we should respond to that, but I think some way should be formulated, and you got all the minds around the table. Some response.
Something that might make them think twice the next time they want to say something like that.
It seems like it was a very irresponsible thing to do.
Very blatant, very blatant.
I think that guy doesn't like unions. I think.
So
still not the right.
Still not the right.
Seems like he likes administration.
It doesn't justify the remarks.
He likes education. Yeah, period.
I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Renier. At this time, we will motion for adjournment.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Leonard,
I'll second it.
second by Mrs. Issing.
Meeting's adjourned at 8 o'clock.
just a reminder, our information committee meeting next month is our traveling road show, goes to Level Green, November 5th at 7 p.m. at the Level Green Elementary School Library.
I know this is a dumb question, but we're advertising them that way, right? I mean,
correct. Absolutely. Absolutely.